So cool.
Did you?
Yeah. Also, what was his name? Sigmund Freud or something? Mm-hmm. That was weird to read about.
Very famous philosopher.
I like philosophy though,
Philosophy.
I love philosophy. I wanted to be a philosopher.
Which is funny when you, again, take everything back to, like, its core. Philosophy is just one person's opinions of their observations on life.
Yes!
So, I could identify as a philosopher.
Yeah. I think anyone could.
Anyone can.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If it's in, like, that aspect, yeah.
Because Sigmund Freud, like... Okay, I was about to say in his heyday, probably was, like, shunned. He would have been shunned by a lot of people that didn't like, accept or resonate what he was talking about. Oh, a couple thousand years ago.
1,000?
Yeah.
I was thinking, like, 18th century. Damn.
Oh, I keep thinking Aristotle. So Aristotle, Freud, and everyone, like, created philosophy.
I heard of Aristotle.
Yeah, they created philosophy. But they didn't, but it was just we've labeled them all different things.
Yeah.
So they were philosophical teachers. They know him as, like, the father of philosophy. Aristotle's, like, the father of philosophy. But he had schools set up, philosophical schools, where he'd then spread his teachings like a guru. And that's the thing. It's just the labels and the sections that we put them in.
Yeah.
Because a guru does that. It passes on knowledge through schooling, essentially.
That's what we're doing right now, right? Guru.
So the new word is, like, a mentorship.
Oh.
That's, like, the modern day take on
Oh my god, there's, like, a caterpillar on this. No, it's not a caterpillar. It's like an earworm.
Oh, gross.
Run, little dude. Okay.
Those things are so annoying. They, like, create webs underneath everything.
Really? Is that what this is?
Yep. And they lay eggs all through it.
Move! Jeepers.
Hey, you're playing with it.
Butterfly.
Butterflies mean transformation.
Do they actually? Just, like, the colours mean something different? Because you know how you get, like, all different colours?
If you, like, dive into it more, yeah.
Because, dude, the other day I saw a blue bumblebee. I tried looking it up. Like, literally, it's an actual thing. It's a native Australian species.
Oh, yeah.
That's, like, just a blue bumblebee.
That's
and
cool.
I'm like, did someone just die this little bitch? Like, what's up with him?
Oh, no. And yes, I would hazard a guess to say, so if I saw that in, like, a spiritual animal sort of context, I'd look up the bee, and then I'd associate it more with, like, third eye activation or throat chakra, depending on the shade of the blue.
Yeah.
Which are your blue chakras. And, like, then what's it trying to tell me from being in my experience?
Oh, so you're, like, breaking it down.
So, yes, and this is the thing with spirit animals. There's so much crap out there.
Yeah.
If you ever intuitively want to find out a meaning of something, without overthinking, because that's a big part. So, the key is you Google it, go to the first thing that resonates with you.
Oh, yeah, you told me about this.
Don't just keep reading all of them. If you do that, you'll come across the thing that really sits the most accurate with you. But if I'm like...
What was this called? Bibliography. Bibleography.
It is kind of bibliography, actually.
Because it's going to the first thing that resonates. So it's like flipping to a page in a book.
Yeah, but it's through the internet.
Yeah.
That is what I do, actually.
It's modernized bibliography.
Bibliography.
I'm thinking of Bible.
Wait, we're saying bibliography. Bibliography.
Was it bibliomancy?
No.
I think it was
bibliography is different.
You were thinking cartography.
I know, that was way off too. Okay, what we're trying to talk about, we Googled it before we even came on. We were like, all right,
we have
a
really bad memory if we don't, like, resonate.
I know. So originally with tarot, where it started, and I looked up the history of tarot, that's why I know, but it started originally with people just opening books to a certain page and then finding a sentence or words that resonated in a book. And that was what the message was, that essentially it's chance or fate is trying to, like, through the utilization of chance and fate, you then intuitively within yourself recognize that there's things already existing in your brain that you need to process from those words triggering it. So, yeah, originally we did it with books, and then they created cards. And then the gypsies used the cards and made it a game. So it was a game, originally.
Was that like tarot or just like
tarot
cards?
So original tarot.
They did use it as a game, right?
Yeah, so original tarots were just using playing cards.
Yeah.
And they used to take them to, you know, big galas or whatever for rich people.
Yeah.
To make money. And we're like, oh, this card means this card means that. But...
Sounds like a pretty cool game.
Yeah, and it was kind of a con from, like, a physical perspective. Like a practical masculine perspective.
Yeah.
But with the intention being set and the intuitive messages coming from those things, plus they created it, so it had to make sense in some sort of way.
Yeah.
So they created this way that then the universe could communicate, or fate or chance could communicate through it to then resonate with the person that's participating in it. And then they created tarot cards because it was just a better sell than it being a card game.
I always wondered, how does, like, dice come into it? Because you know how some tarot readers use dice as well?
Well, I would say they're combining it with numerology, but I've never seen that.
Oh.
I would say that
that makes more sense, though.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like, I don't need to do that, but I guess another example would be when they look at the clock and it's like, oh, that, you know, 11111.
That's what you do. Yeah.
Yeah. Confirmation of whatever I just said.
Yeah.
So I would say they're using it for that.
Interesting. Because I see people pull up, like, star signs and everything to see if it, like, resonates more. But, like, okay, can you please help me? I don't actually understand. This actually might be a very good time to talk about it. I don't understand the entire, like, birth chart thing. Like, what does rising sun moon mean? Because, like, I'm like, oh, I'm all that thing. Cool.
Okay, so my first point when you started diving into more, like, tarot stuff that you've looked into.
Yeah.
I was going to say, make sure, and a big key thing is that it's all about balance.
Yeah.
So if you dive way too far into one thing, yes, that's the thing that resonates with you. Eventually that journey is going to take you back to this balance.
Yeah.
But you're still going down that path of journey. So remember to bring in other things, which is kind of, I guess, what they're doing with numerology and stuff, because it technically is classed as a different channeling, different way to get messages.
Well, okay,
but
so
with your example, what I was going to say is, so I actually have a pretty scientific explanation to astrology. So the Aztecs, the ancient Aztecs, are both the creators of mathematics and astrology.
Oh.
And they were the original, well, actually that's a bit of bias, but they mapped the stars is where the astrology comes from. So their point of existence on Earth, they noticed through observation that the stars and the planets aligned at different parts in relation to their point on Earth.
Yeah.
So they mapped it all, and then that is also how they created maths. Because then they created, like, measurement tools on, like, okay, these times in alignment with the weather and the seasons. They observed everything.
Mm.
This is what's happening in the planetary alignment. And then through that observation, they recognized that certain trends kept repeating, whether it was through human behavior, through the environment changing, different things happening with Earth, babies being born, and then their personality traits, like lots of different stuff.
Yeah.
Would associate and align with different planetary alignments. So that's where it comes from.
So basically it's just like a lot of surveys being put into like one big
So when we say an astrology map or like a natal birth chart, it's essentially the map of where the stars and planets all were when you were born.
Huh.
And so what constellation of stars were essentially in your existence on your position on Earth
at the time you were born.
At the time you were born.
So how does that... Oh, so it's just like all different personality traits, kind of. Is it?
Well, and that's where it's still loose because it's just commonalities that they noticed. So that's why horoscopes and everything don't always resonate with everyone.
Yeah.
Because because then our experiences, especially in modern society, come into it with what we've learnt in our environmental experience and other things that we've taken on. But I suppose back in that day when there wasn't too many other things other than being in connection with nature and you know, the seasons and harvests and everything to survive.
Yeah.
There wasn't too many external influences than that. So
yeah,
that probably was very accurate.
No, wait, okay, so I want to know, how can, like, all this stuff from the past predict the future? Because you know how you get, like, messages like, this is what's going to happen for this star sign in, let's say, Mercury retrograde. How can they predict that? You do know?
So now, because what I'm talking about is thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
So over thousands of years, you accumulate all that knowledge of things that different people have noticed.
Oh, so it's
trends.
Just like, yeah.
So it's kind of like sociology. It's
yeah.
like any other sort of science. It's observing.
Yeah.
So they observe that this stuff sort of happens. And then now, because there's no real explanation. The only reason I know is because I got interested and I bought textbooks. I started teaching myself it. But then, like anything, I kind of go, okay, I get the gist.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't resonate with me anymore. And I'm like, all right, that's where it comes from. It's enough foundation for me to sort of believe it, but not always take it on. And I think that helps with my balance. Because I go, that's not the be-all and end-all. And that's, I think, where people get addicted and they sort of put that complex against it where they're like, no, that's how I live my life. Yeah. And then that's what other people get triggered by. And they're like, that's stupid. There's all these other things.
Yeah.
That's not the only thing. Is really all it is. Those people. And then they reject it so much because they go, oh, these people, you know, believe in it so much, like that is the word of law sort of thing. Where it's addiction. They get addicted to it being right and confirmation.
Ooh.
And
so
then they're,
I think, is it
and
like
then they're
they
escaping
like
reality because they're like,
yeah,
no, I'm just leaving it to the stars. Oh, the stars are why I'm like this. You can get out of that, and that's part of the yogi practice.
Wait, so is it like they just
that.
knowing what's going to happen?
Yeah, so
like they like that, like unpredictability. Well, like everything's predictable.
They do like the predictability.
Yeah.
So the other thing, I explained this to a friend the other day who's a chippy, and he was like, oh, that makes sense. So with astrology, what it is based on the different planets and star alignments. I think of it as like gravity or like pressure. Yeah. So when they're sort of closer to us or when everything's moving. And when it's all sort of moving and moving into place, and I think that's what the square and trine and retrograde and all that stuff means. Yeah. That's how much essential like pressure or energy we're receiving from how close or far away it is and how it relates to us. So that then is where we perceive it as like negative, or we're putting more pressure on ourselves and it triggers out anxieties, or more of like an ego-based thing. Yeah. Or the alternative where we're more spiritual because it's more in a feminine house. Like, and it's not necessarily anything other than, again, like I think gravity or pressure. It's like a pull or push on like the brainwaves that we were talking about in the last one. So it's a pull or push on that frequency that we're picking up on.
Dude, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I already know about this.
No, that was just my voice.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, no, it is really interesting. That's why I've looked into it, because I found it fascinating.
Namaste, guys. Subscribe to our Substack for the full podcast.